All right, so you're probably facing a lot of stress and you're trying to start a business or start your first entrepreneurial venture and you don't know how to handle it. Well, no worries, because this video will cover everything I currently do to handle all the stress I'm experiencing while starting my own startup from literally zero to hopefully a lot. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so the first things first, I just want to say you can't let the stress eat you. You gotta eat the stress. And what do I mean by this? Now, most of the time, you're gonna have your mind racing. There's a million things that need to be done. They need to be done quickly, and none of them are getting done. This is where most people get stuck. So they get stuck in this overthinking mentality where they think they're thinking too much and they can't handle their own thoughts, which is crazy. But they can't handle their own thoughts, so they just get stuck in a slough of doing nothing, and they literally sit there, procrastinate, put it off, and try to then kick the can down the road, which inevitably makes things worse. Because if you have a lot of things that they need to get done and they never get done, then you're just making things worse and worse, and you're going to miss deadlines, and then it's going to start to be a whole negative spiral. The way I tend to try and handle those is I just start to attack from the easiest problem first and then work my way up. So like literally it could be the easiest thing, literally open a page of something or write a simple note, which just it gets the ball moving, and it starts off on a positive note where I can start saying, okay, cool, I've got something done, now let me tackle a slightly bigger task, or let me do another slightly bigger task. And then just from there, stacking the small wins over time, you then get the ball rolling and you can actually complete your task for the day. And even if you don't complete your task for the day, it's not the end of the world. You can always move on to the next day. And if you have the benefit of being like an owner or founder, then you just tend to set the rules. So as long as you're setting rules which you can stand to for yourself, you will be able to progress. And then down the line, when you think about starting to hire and to have employees, you're going to need to also make sure that you're giving them adequate standards and adequate rules, which isn't impossible for them to reach, but you're also not letting them just have like a easy ride. But yeah, so essentially just never let the stress beat you. You got to beat the stress. You got to outwork your thoughts that are telling you that you shouldn't do this or you can't do all of this in a day, and you got to prove to your own thoughts, which aren't really yours, but you got to prove to your own thoughts that you can do it by simply just putting the work in and doing it. And essentially, when you are able to do that, you will then be winning over your stress, and you'll operate on a level where you can deal with what other people view as so much stress, just because you know by just simply attacking small tasks and continuing to do what you know to be right in the moment will allow you to then cover all of the stress which is actually on you. Because most of the time the stress comes from you not having done what you need to do. So doing what you need to do literally pushes the stress away. And having that being said, that's like literally the first step. And the next one is also to try and track and measure what you do. Because if you can track and measure what you do, you can actually see all the progress you're making, and all the steps that you are doing correctly that lead to your success, and all the steps that you are doing incorrectly that lead to your success. And you can track as much as you want, but I just recommend simply tracking what you do per like minute or per hour, and just see, are you doing things at a decent time frame, or is it taking you an hour to write an email, which it happens to the best of us, but you need to find a way to like make yourself faster at writing emails and things along that nature. And essentially you just need to make sure that you always know what you're doing in a certain amount of time, so that if you're stressed about it, you feel like you're wasting time, you can look at like your own, let's call it a timesheet. Most people have a timesheet for work, but if you have a timesheet for yourself, you can just keep track of yourself and what you're doing, and then you will feel a lot more relaxed knowing you actually in the last few hours, even if you can't remember off the top of your head what you did, you've actually done all the things you've noted down on the list. And just seeing some progression will also allow you to feel like you're overcoming the stress and you're actually able to work through it, and that you can, amidst the stress, you can continue to push on and get towards what you're seeking. And yeah, I guess it's a perfect time to use the quote, progression not perfection, because ultimately you're going to feel stressed if you don't feel like you're progressing, and you're going to feel stressed if you don't feel like you've got it perfect, or at least certain people do. And you're never going to be perfect, but at least if you're progressing, you know you're working towards that perfection, which obviously no one ever achieves, but except for arguably Jesus Christ, but that's a topic for another day. But essentially you're just always progressing towards something. That will be where you feel okay, because that's actually where dopamine is released, which is the feel good chemical, which means that you're on your track to achieving something, which often can actually overcome your stress chasing you in your mind. So yeah, that's another good way to just deal with the stress that comes with trying to, and yeah, that's just another good way to deal with the stress that comes from inevitably trying to go after things that are inherently hard to get and very stressful to try and achieve. And I mean, another one that's going to be sort of overlooked most likely, but it's just breathe. Like a lot of the times we get stuck in our own minds, and our own minds will be telling us all sorts of things. But if we just like take a breath, you look outside, you realize that the whole world doesn't literally exist in our mind. There's other things going on. whether we actually do what we're doing or not doesn't really alter the course of the world. Ultimately, if your goals are big enough that you can alter the course of the world, then yeah, you're going to be very stressed. But for most people, you don't have to think that big. You can just think about what it is that you want, and you can just relax, breathe, take a breath, look somewhere else, take a small break, just have a breather, realize the world's not over if you don't get what you need to get done. Nobody has a gun to your head, and just keep going, because ultimately that's what it is, right? We just have our own ambitions and desires, and we're going after them, and if they work out, great. If they don't, it is what it is. You just got to get back to life and keep going. And that's what will also help you sort of detach from always feeling stressed, because you feel like you have to get it, which is good. But yes, you will get it if you do all the right work and you stay along the path for long enough. But also, don't forget to enjoy the journey. Sometimes you got to learn to enjoy the struggle, because it's the struggle which will then be the stories you could talk about when you inevitably get to that which you're seeking, and where you get to where you want. So yeah, that's how I personally deal with stress in my own company that I'm started. Currently still on my own as a solo founder, and working my way up to eventually go to hire and scale this company. And yeah, essentially just don't let the stress eat you, eat the stress, attack your work, and the stress will go naturally. And yeah, at the end of the day, if all goes wrong, it is what it is. Just breathe. You can always get back up and keep going, because that's ultimately how you succeed in business and in life. And if you want to know 5 mental shifts that I've made to get to my stage currently, and that I recommend you making if you want to see success in your business, then I'll leave the link in the description. And without any further ado, have a good one. And also, just to add, I know I'm starting to do this every video, but also just work with speed, because the faster you work, the less stressed you'll be, because the more work you can complete. So as long as you're just working tirelessly, outdoing all the stress that's turning you can't do this, you can't do that, and outdoing all that negative emotion, then yeah, you'll be fine and you'll get to what you're doing. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Always work with speed. So the second idea comes in your mind and you're trying to think, oh, what do I do? How will I execute all that stress? Just do it. And that will get rid of the stress, because you're working too fast for the stress to catch you.